Okay. Um, Several people mentioned to me that they're still downloading and waiting on attendees. I know we've had a big influx, so if anyone wants to add in the comments directly to me or to Georgia and Sam, if they're still waiting on people to download and attend, we can wait a minute or two more, but I think we should get going shortly. I think I'm also seeing some comments that it took a while for people to get in. So we might wait a minute or two more. We're really fortunate to have so many people with us, but I do think it's testing the capacity of Zoom here. So yeah. All right, I think we're going to get started. Welcome. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the virtual reception for Carrying Weight, the School of Fine Arts fourth year BFA exhibition. My name is Matthew Hills, and I'm the director of the Grenfell Art Gallery and curator of Memorial University's art collection. So pleased that to have so many people here and that you can join us in this celebration. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge with gratitude that the land on which Grenfell Art Gallery is located is in traditional Mi'kmaq territory, and further acknowledge with respect the diverse histories and cultures of the Beothuk, Mi'kmaq, Innu, and Inuit of our province. I include a land acknowledgement as I believe it's important to acknowledge and support the self-determination of Indigenous people in our country and province. Thank you again for joining us for this celebration of Carrying Weight and celebration of the completion of this group's BFA in Visual Arts at the School of Fine Arts. I will just say we have a really exciting schedule of things coming up. So I'll just say quickly that as a curator, it's always very exciting to work on the work with this group of artists to realize the fourth year show. It really is an exhibition that presents emerging trends in our field in the visual arts. And these are, as young artists, emerging artists, really attuned and critically aware of all the things that are happening and really anticipating trends. So as a curator, it's always an exciting and exhilarating process. And I also want to congratulate this group for realizing the exhibition. Collectively, this exhibition is a testament to their resilience and perseverance as a group of student artists who, under the duress of a global pandemic and ever-shifting study and work circumstances and the challenges of remote learning, prevailed to make thoughtful, sensitive, and evocative work. Respective projects engage and installations engage issues of trauma, community, and the rapidly changing socio-political context of our times. These artists really are the future of our province. They shape our culture. They drive so much of what we do here at the school and the gallery. So we're very proud to have their work here at the gallery. This exhibition, Carrying Weight, you can see the title wall behind me, is on view until May 18th. If you have the opportunity to see it in person, you can make an appointment on the Grenfell Art Gallery's website or through any of our social media channels. And I'll also at the end mention a couple of upcoming programs and other options for those who are unable to attend in person to view this exhibition remotely and to engage in some of the upcoming programming. So just to go over quickly what we'll be doing this evening, we're going to begin with some opening remarks from the Dean of the School of Fine Arts, Dr. Todd Hennessy, and the Chair of the Visual Arts Program, Dr. Ingrid Mary Percy. And then we'll watch an extensive video tour of the exhibition that will feature all 21 of the participating artists. And that will be followed by a roll call of participating artists on the screen, and finally a photo op. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome the Dean of the School of Fine Arts, Dr. Todd Hennessy.
Thanks so much, Matthew. Thanks for inviting me. Thanks for allowing me to take part in the celebration. And I'm also really excited for the show for the fourth years. I was in the gallery last week, and it's a stunning stunning show. And I think you all should be very proud of the work you've achieved. As Matthew says, under sometimes trying circumstances. One of the really thrilling things for me over the last several years is to be able to take part in this annual celebration. And I'm really pleased we're doing this here tonight. And so many folks are here. It's amazing. Hello, everybody. And I've never walked away from a 4th Year show not having been moved in some way or another. And this year is absolutely the same for me. And I just want to say, leaving the gallery the other day, I was moved and excited and just kind of thrilled by the work in there. And it energized me in a way that I haven't been energized in some time. And I really needed it. So I just want to thank you for that. And congratulations on finishing your degrees. Thank you so much for spending the last couple of years with us, even under some trying circumstances in the last little while. I hope it was fulfilling for you. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you get whatever you're hoping to get in the next couple of years. I hope your lives treat you really very well. And more than anything else, maybe, I hope you stay in touch. I really do. I'm fortunate to have met so many students over the last number of years. I'm not a visual artist, but I've been thrilled to pieces to work with visual artists over the last several years, including student artists. And I've really enjoyed keeping up and keeping track of people. And so I just invite you to stay in touch, to remember us, to check in from time to time. I'd love to know how you're doing and what you're doing and where you are and all that sort of stuff. And to your friends and to your families and to your supporters, thank you for all you've done over the last couple of years for our students. We really, really appreciate it. But again, I just really want to say thanks, congratulations, and best of luck. And with that, I'll turn it over to Ingrid.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be here tonight. Thanks, Todd. Thanks very much. Thanks, everybody, for joining us in this wonderful celebration. As Todd mentioned and Matthew mentioned, my name is Ingrid Mary Percy, and I'm an associate professor in the visual arts program and chair of the visual arts program as well. So first off, on behalf of the entire visual arts program, I would like to say a huge congratulations to all the 4th year BFA students. You did it. I'd also like to recognize the incredibly important role that families and friends have had in supporting these artists and these students, something that was particularly critical during this year of COVID-19. I also want to acknowledge the exceptional work of all the faculty and staff in the School of Fine Arts at Grenfell Campus and at Memorial University in helping students complete their degrees. We've all been here to support you over your time at Grenfell Campus and at Memorial University. But at the end of the day, it's the students, it's you who need to be acknowledged and commended for taking on this degree and for successfully completing it. So way to go, all of you. During the past year with remote teaching and learning, support, kindness, and compassion have become more important than ever. This year, students, like many of us, expressed struggles with anxiety, stress, time management, and exhaustion. But students also overcame these obstacles by finding inspiration in new places, by doubling down on their creativity and willingness to take chances with their art practices, and discovering new ways of connecting with the larger world through online artist talks, websites, webinars, virtual gatherings like this, social media, etc. So to the students and parents potentially, if you're worried about the future, don't be. You finished a BFA degree during a global pandemic. That's amazing. You're equipped to handle more than you know. So students, if you stumble, don't forget to reach out for help. If nothing else, this pandemic has highlighted how all of us need to help each other. And we all need help at some time or another, especially in times that have exposed our weaknesses, but also, I think, revealed strengths that we have and that maybe we didn't know. It's okay to be vulnerable and it's okay to ask for help. One of the most valuable things you've developed over the last 4 years, in addition to the skills and knowledge that you have in visual arts, art history, and other areas of academia, is a network of friends and peers that will be your support system for the rest of your life. Remember to nurture that support group, contribute as much as you benefit from it. Share opportunities, achievements, and successes. These peers will be your friends as well as your professional colleagues moving forward. Some of you may have a dream of becoming a full-time artist, and many of you will. One of the great things about having a BFA is that it opens many other doors. Employers in the new creative economy are looking for people who can think and act creatively. And that's something that all of you know how to do better than most. Many students who have previously graduated from our BFA Visual Arts program have gone on to have careers in areas that they never expected. Grenfell Visual Arts BFA alum are teachers, professors, architects, curators, museum workers, writers, art historians, doctors, activists, and small business owners. Some are designing web pages, video games, and computer applications. So as you move to the next stage in your life, I really hope that you will stay connected with each other and with us at Grenfell. It's been a wonderful journey that we've all been on together over these past 4 years or longer. And I know that you will succeed in whatever you do and whatever endeavors that you engage in. So remember that you'll always be part of the Grenfell Visual Arts family. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Ingrid. Thank you, Todd, for those lovely remarks. I need to also mention, as I failed to do so off the top, that the chat is open. One of our gallery staff, Georgia Dawkin, is manning the chat, and if there are any questions or comments or any congratulations or anything else to be shared with the participating artists, that can go into the chat as well. And you'll notice that there is an option in the Zoom chat to direct them to specific people or to everyone in the group. So now that we're finished with that portion, we're going to share a video tour of the exhibition. And I need to thank a team at Grenfell ITS, Steve Sharp and Ed Johnson, for their production of this video under very short turnarounds and circumstances. So without further ado, I will share this video, and also just say that it is, because of the number of participants in this exhibition, 21, and we wanted to ensure that everyone had the opportunity to share their work. It is longer in length, so 25 to 30 minutes. So without further ado, I will start it up.
Donovan. It's a graphic novel installation called Donovan. This is a piece by Han Donovan. It's a graphic novel installation called The Night Lights. It explores, according to Han, explores issues of themes of tradition versus modernity, family, and LGBTQ plus thematics. You can see Han's installed it with a series of lights up top, and really inviting people to take a close look at the graphic novel and enter in. So it's a 28-page graphic novel, and you can also see that there are copies here that people can look through, as well as amazing little stickers that people can take with them to support the work. This is a piece by Lauren Brake called Rural Faces. It's an ongoing portrait project that Lauren's done that revolves around highlighting and appreciating the members of her rural community. I should add that Lauren is based and has spent her entire life in Bay St. George South. People portrayed are from the area and plan to remain there long term. Lauren says that it's thanks to these residents that we're able to keep our small community going strong. This is a piece by Holly Bennett entitled Trauma Within Comfort. Holly's created 7 soft sculptures, each representing a trauma that they have undergone throughout their life. Each plush was created from scratch and made of plush minky fabric and stuffed with polyfill. Each pattern for the soft sculpture is created by hand, and also the embroidery is by Holly. Plush toys have always served as a way for them to cope with while going through a traumatic experience. They're hoping to capture the horrors of trauma as experienced through them and within their work. These series of photos are by Emily Anderson, and they're entitled Intrusion. They investigate the interaction between garbage and the natural landscape. They're the results of extensive research that Emily undertook by visiting multiple locations in Western Newfoundland. The ones shown in this series are from Wild Cove Waste Disposal Site. This is where all the garbage from Corner Brook area is processed. Of the work, Emily says, "It is strange that while people find nature and the landscape beautiful, garbage is then thrown into the picturesque scene that people claim to love. It's become an intrusion on the landscape. Perhaps we do not realize what it would be like to not be surrounded by nature, and therefore do not think twice about destroying it." Emily's also created a zine to accompany the piece and developed her own hanging hardware for the installation. This is a zine by Julia Brake called A Collection of Short Visual Stories. You can see that it's beautifully bound as well. A small book of humor, feelings, and the little moments that matter. Really ambitious work by Raiden Lawrence entitled Rio 2016 Unranked. It's a series of 306 paintings of Olympic athletes who competed in the 2016 Summer Games in Rio de Janeiro. One athlete was randomly selected from, Raiden went through and selected one athlete randomly from each event and actually used a random number generator to do so. Raiden spent 30 to 40 minutes on each portrait, avoiding giving extra attention or special treatment. This series removes the competition and creates an unbiased representation of a selection of participants. In doing this, we see a passionate and hardworking group of individuals who are seen as a whole, not a ranked systems of bodies separated by race and sport. Rio 2016 Unranked has been an opportunity for Raiden's significant growth. To quote the artist, "I am thankful to have acquired more skill in representing people from different racial backgrounds. This work encourages the viewer to think about why representation matters and reminds the viewer that someone notices your hard work. You deserve to have your efforts recognized." This piece is entitled What Will the Worms Think of Me by Bethany McKenzie. It's created using cotton, acrylic paint, lycra, polyfill, pine, and paper. You can see that it's a 2-component installation. The sculptural component, which has a tactile quality, are allowed to pick up the worms and interact with them, as well as a zine component that you can see in vermiculite box, the composting box behind, where you can take a zine to use. Bethany states that I am almost obsessively occupied with how we individually perceive ourselves, others, and how we categorize feelings. Bethany's work explores the moments of tension that provide us with comfort and discomfort, but the in-betweens, when nothing becomes something and when something becomes nothing at all. In Bethany's practice, they utilize multiples and repetition to examine abject subjects that remind us of the truly horrid, subjects that simultaneously attract and repulse, and break down the boundaries between the self and the other. Through interdisciplinary techniques such as painting, printmaking, and textiles, Bethany draws the viewer's attention to the historical and contemporary context in which her work exists and asks the viewer to approach it softly. I provide an opportunity to walk, Bethany of the work says, I provide an opportunity to walk the line between what may and may not be appealing in order to question the social connotations that have influenced the perception of ourselves and those around us. The work's pretty incredible in terms of its making. Like, there's a real textile quality that is conceptually also quite repulsive. Like, it has leaves a residue on your hands. And you can see that you're invited to take a zine. This is a piece by Jess Pinn, In the Thick of It. It's obviously a mixed media installation. And Jess's work is informed by their personal experiences of addiction and sobriety. Of the piece, Jess states, I want to draw attention to the pain and suffering of addicts while also focusing on the serenity of sobriety. My ultimate goal is to provide viewers with a better understanding of addiction through the perspective of my own experience. In my art practice, I like to explore the different ways mediums and materials can be mixed, such as textiles and nature, to express certain emotions. I'm working through personal emotional trauma while also attempting to evoke similar emotions in the viewer. In my fourth-year independent studio project, I'm exploring and expressing different perspectives of active addiction, sobriety, and relapse. This is a piece by Nicolette Dredge called Learning to Be Uncomfortable. It's embroidery and mixed media. And Nicolette had actually sourced this shelf themselves to fully put the pieces on display. You can see that they're meant to be experienced in the round. Nicolette's originally from Pasadena, and her research creation is concerned with health, comfort, discomfort, and mindfulness. Nicolette works in a range of mediums, such as embroidery, photography, and painting, and is passionate about color, texture, and the process of experimenting with different material. Nicolette develops projects that reflect on their experience with their own health issues. And you can see as you get close to these pieces that they contain different objects of emotional significance to Nicolette's personal experiences. And each of those objects is accompanied by a particular word on one side that resonates with these objects emotionally, physically, as well as a quote or an anecdotal text piece on the reverse side of the soft sculpture. The artist's name is Gabe Marsh. The piece is entitled The Storage and the Use. It's a series of wall-mounted cabinets that Gabe has designed himself. Are filled with the series of wall-mounted cabinets filled with drawers and surrounding Gabe's displaced workstation. Inside these drawers are processed CYMK prints depicting tools and personal effects from Gabe's home. The work speaks to ideas surrounding the maker movement, domestic living, and material culture. As the viewer interacts with the work and explores how to rationalize space, Gabe has created new revelations about object-based culture and how modern society uses and delegates space arise. And you can see the piece really rewards interaction. You can go through, find different CMYK spaces, prints, which I think reflect different divisions in Gabe's workspace. And you can see this is Gabe's displaced workstation. Really print-focused artist. Gabe, I know, has had a real emphasis in printmaking throughout, and you can see some of the print tools in his workstation, which he's really cleverly lit. And you can also see the print ink colorfully at the top. By Shannon Renee Husbands. This is a painting textile piece called Home Drum Beats First. Of this piece, Shannon Renee says, "This work is inspired by my life experience, loved ones, and the earth that surround me. As a woman Afro-Caribbean artist, I seek to share my culture, home, and exploration of my identity through my practice. The Barbadian saying, 'Home drum beat first,' means that before all else, home and family comes first. With a focus on the idea of home, my work highlights aspects of Caribbean life, landscape, history, and memories that are important to me and have shaped me in how I view the world. Embracing the tradition of sewing passed on through the generations, Home Drum Beats First is a series of 16 textile pieces of portraits, fabric painting, and embroidery, which seek to bring to life my cherished childhood memories and fond interactions with the earth that surrounds me while living in Barbados, along with those of my immediate family members. With its ability to connect me to those before me, textile also allows me to bond with my mother, grandmother, and other women in my family, as it provides not only a sense of physical warmth with the clothes we make, but also emotional warmth, a series of comfort, security, and home, with stories shared and love felt when we work together. Using these mediums, I recreate my memories and fond feelings of being surrounded by a loving family, my father's hand in the soil, animals and fruit of our labor as an Afro-Caribbean woman invested in her homeland. Home drum beats first, and Barbados, my family, the Caribbean, and all that comes with these will always be home to me." This series of 4 paintings is entitled To and From by Sharon Burge. It's acrylic on canvas. Sharon's work is based around the desires and longing for what you don't have. Sharon explores themes through their travel experience, as this was a large part of my nomadic experience. As she says, this was a large part of her nomadic experience. Sharon's made 4 large, brightly colored paintings that represent the idealized versions of both my travels and my home of Newfoundland. Along with these paintings, Sharon has sections of realistic journaling that reflect inner thoughts that are included directly that connect the paintings to the idea of longing. My goal is to use my own experience as reference to these complex feelings that are more common than one would think, says Sharon of the work. Entitled What Do I Do When Nature is Gone by Kayla George. This work explores environmental loss and plastic pollution's effect on culture. It features traditional mediums and practices of Kayla's part of Nunaktavut culture and the journey that Kayla has taken to become more connected to her heritage. It represents both the loss of nature and the resilience of culture. It's meant to make us question our actions regarding plastic waste as we continue to destroy our home. The transition from natural seagrass to plastic is representative of the path that the environment is on and is soon to be lost forever. The work addresses Kayla's thoughts. Kayla asks, "What am I supposed to do when there is no more nature? How can I learn from my culture and keep it alive when there is no nature to learn from?" This is an installation by Mitchell Jerry Snow, coming out of his development of a fantasy world called On the Matters of Our Curious Environment from the View of an Outsider, the Compendium of Yucatawa. Mitchell did not provide a statement for this piece. But my understanding is that it's emerging out of a fantasy world or novel, fantasy sort of world building that Mitchell's done that's portrayed in this book. This work is called The Fabrication of Bonds in My Network by Candace Roberts Curlew. This is a digital animation by Megan Cody entitled The Lonely Hours. Of the work, Megan says, and I quote, "As an artist, I am interested in the ways that we as humans express our emotions and vulnerabilities, feelings of loneliness and emptiness, how we display or don't display these types of things, and how we decide to let other people know about them. Along with these themes, I focus on the way that social media has created a space where those feelings are openly expressed to the public, most times with an aesthetic to help convey them in a relatable way while also being poetic and creative in their posts. With my work, I want to visualize these aesthetics to embody the feelings that these posts create, to capture those feelings that many people experience in their lifetime." This is a soft sculpture by Shannon Reed entitled unfamiliar. Shannon's interested in what's lost and found. Of her practice, Shannon says, and I quote, "In my practice, I'm interested in what is lost and found, the discarded remnants and belongings of strangers that sit upon the precipice of what can be both important and unimportant. Shopping lists, to-do lists, and reminders are like brief glimpses into others' lives, written down to be recalled and then forgotten. Working from compiled, collected, and discarded lists, I strive to collect instances of lost relevance. By recreating each object, I am interested in preserving and re-representing the mundanity of every day, calling attention to its forgotten significance. Translating each list into textiles, I alter their medium and texture, creating an opportunity for the viewer to question the obscurity of the list in front of them, an unfamiliar, familiar object." And Shannon's invited the viewer to switch out lists if they wish to interact with the piece. The eye for detail is incredible, right down to the sort of texture and the fraying of the lists themselves. So the viewer can actually swap out a list if they're interested. And you can see the level of detail and attention and care Shannon's shown in the creation of the work in the sort of lists. Both in recreating the paper and textiles through textile, but also in the sort of recreation of different handwriting different people's text through embroidery. A painstaking level of detail, really. This is a photo installation by Omar Raza. Of this work, Omar says, "I have grown up amongst several cultures in Northeast India, which is an undeniable part of who I am. Moving to Canada, I still have the memories and experiences of our culture and folklore embedded inside me, which translates itself in my current work. Observing the generational changes over the years in my culture and others in my journey so far, I have witnessed how oral and written cultural history and folklore has been waning in the technological bloom and post-colonial effects. Undertaking this cultural issue, this piece explores folktales and narratives of Assam and Northeast India through fashion while trying to reclaim our culture from Western influences that has pushed us to a cultural identity crisis. This project engages the community from diverse paths of life to collaborate in rekindling the spark of waning cultural traditions and folklores, or to be a pedagogical tool for posterity." This is an installation by Melissa Mercer of Mixed Media. It's entitled Home as It Was Made. Of this installation, Melissa says, and I quote, "In Newfoundland and Labrador, creating things like quilts and rugs was considered a necessity and not art. The work, however, is vibrant with its creativity and color. Quilters, like my Nan Churchill, did not see their finished works on a wall. Rather, they would see it as keeping their family warm and safe with the love they would put into making them. This practical form of art is seen throughout many Newfoundland homes. The quilts show the connection through the history of the past and the present. The quilts that my Nan Churchill had made for me portray her tremendous influence through different stages and stories of my life. She hand-stitched these quilts, and therefore each quilt has its own unique characteristics. There is an emotional and spiritual connection. The fact that I am continuing the tradition exemplifies her legacy in me."
Nellie, as everyone most known her by, could brighten up anyone's day, tell you how it is, and not know what a filter was when she spoke. Whenever she told a story or sang a hymn, it would be during the time she would be making a quilt.
God sees a little sparrow fall, it meets his tender view. If God so loves the little birds, I know he loves me too. He loves me too, he loves me too. I know he loves me too. Because he loves the little birds, I know he loves me too. He paints the lilies of the field, perfumes each lily bell. If God so loves the little flowers, I know he loves me well. He loves me too, he loves me too. I know he loves me too. Because he loves the birds and flowers, I know he loves me too.
Each delicate pattern, hand-sewn by markings made from soap, fabric picked to represent the person in mind, and always was made the size for a queen bed, that no matter what, the quilt would be loved and used.
This piece is entitled Women, the Bodily and Intellectual Enslavement and Their Muses by Gabrielle Matthews. It's created using charcoal, spray paint, acrylic paint, matte medium. Of this painting, Gabrielle says, and I quote, "The purpose and themes of this project are to explore and reclaim the female body and voice within the art world. The scale of this project was informed by wanting to challenge the art world's domination and elevation of male portrait artists. The reasoning behind this was to force this experience on the audience and bring to light the unacknowledged injustices women are forced to endure within the world just because they were not born a male." Painting on this scale is very challenging. This piece is entitled From There to Here by Samuel Mako Him. It's a mixed media installation with multiple projections. Of this work, Sam says, and I quote, "Can you imagine if your homeland disappeared within a year? I can. Through my artwork, I will address the change in the attitude of Hong Kong's youth from ambition to accepting the fact that our home is no longer the same. Homes can mean many things: the physical location where you were born or the place where you completed your education. Homes can also be a place that is distressed, where everything has been distorted little by little. The meaning of masks has changed from being anonymous at the time of protest to public health issues caused by the coronavirus. The mask was trying to disconnect our social contact, erase our echo from the rallying cry, and cover up our tears with a piece of cold cotton cloth. Yet, you can still hear that frail voice."
Welcome back. Yeah, as you can see, an incredibly diverse set of work and really evocative and amazing work. So for this next section, we're going to try something a little experimental. And I think it's important to acknowledge all of these artists and give them just a briefest opportunity to appear on screen. So we're going to do a roll call, and I'm going to call on our excellent gallery assistant, Samson, to transfer spotlights and video to each of the participating artists as I read out their names. And hopefully they're prepared to have their videos on as we go. So if Sam's ready, I will start with Emily Anderson. Holly, there's Emily Anderson. Holly Bennett. Julia Brake. Lauren Brake. Sharon Burge. There's Sharon. All right. Megan Cody. Han Donovan. Nicolette Dredge. Kayla George. Shannon Renee Husbands. Samuel Mock Ho Him. Raiden Lawrence. Bethany McKenzie. Gabrielle Matthews. Melissa Mercer. Gabe Marsh. Jess Pin. Omar Raza. Shannon Reed. Candace Roberts Curlew. Mitchell Jerry Snow. Please join me in a round of applause or congratulations for this wonderful set of artists and this excellent exhibition and their completion of this degree. So I wish we had emojis in Zoom, but please join me in thanking them and congratulating them. Congratulations, everyone. Several announcements before we wrap up. For those able to attend in person, I did want to emphasize that the exhibition is open to the public by appointment, which can be made through the Grenfell Art Gallery website or through our Facebook, or for that matter, link through to any of our social media channels, Instagram, Twitter. Please keep in mind and keep an eye on our website, grenfellartgallery.ca, for enhanced exhibition content. The video tour will be available on our website, as well as documentation of the exhibition and some of the texts which the artists had provided and that I read out as part of the video tour. I also wanted to make mention that I hope you can join us next Thursday for, we're going to be hosting a series of artist talks with several of the artists from this exhibition, and we're really pleased to be presenting that as part of the public programs for this exhibition. And I also want to say that we're really pleased to be announcing the John Tupper and Ingrid Mary Percy Award, which will be announced on the day of the final day of the fourth year exhibition. This $1,000 prize is awarded to one student in the show for outstanding artistic achievement and is meant to encourage them to pursue a career in the visual arts. The recipient will be selected by a jury of arts professionals external to the university and judged solely by the work in the BFA show. All students in the show are automatically eligible and will be considered. And I also need to acknowledge the support of the School of Fine Arts, Grenfell Campus and Memorial University, and Arts NL, and the Canada Council for the Arts for making what the Grenfell Art Gallery does possible. I also want to say thank you to Samson and Georgia, our staff, for running the Zoom this evening, as well as to say thank you to our excellent, really fabulous gallery team who supported installation and realizing this show. Just a shout out to Heather, Gaia, and Mads as well, and to Carmen. I also wanted to say thank you again to Ed Johnson and Steve Sharp for their production and editing of the video, especially under the pressure of some tight timelines. And to reiterate again that I hope you'll keep an eye on our website and social media platforms for additional content related to the exhibition, and I hope to see you again next Thursday for the artist talks, which at this point we believe will be in the evening, but could possibly, depending on artist availability, be in the afternoon. But please keep an eye on our social media platforms. Thank you again for joining us this evening and for celebrating the accomplishments of these amazing artists and students as they graduate. Yes, thanks everyone. Sam, can we put everyone up on screen? I guess it's already gone, so. Great to get a screen cap of everyone. And thank you everyone who attended, and such a fantastic turnout. So thank you everyone. Have a wonderful evening. We will let people continue in the chat before closing down the Zoom. The other thing I'll say is we have recorded the proceedings this evening, so if anyone would like a copy with the permission of the artist, we can share it.